Yes, sir, I'm listening. So welcome to this session, Friday session, March the 18th, 2021, very early in the morning. And first of all, I would like to know if there's anything new that you would like to tell, anything that happened to you, anything that's going on. How are you feeling today? Exceptionally well, completely tired.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
Today everyone is sleepy.
Yeah, I cannot blame you for that. Do you have a good night's sleep?
no.
In my case, yes.
All right. In your case, you had a good night's sleep, and someone said no.
I said no.
Okay. How's that? What's the explanation for that? Do you have an explanation?
Had a lot of bad dreams, and I
Okay.
woke up like 5 times in the night.
That's terrible. Now I can relate to that. I also woke up twice, but it was because of my dogs. They were barking a lot. So dogs barking, it leads to waking up and etc. etc. I'm sorry about that, about the nightmares, because you cannot control them most of the time. Yeah. Um, so we're going to try to link this session with the previous session that we had, I believe, last Tuesday. Good morning to everyone. I see, I don't see Vicente, but I see his name here. Vicente, Tomás, Raicelis, Natacha, Martín, Katia, Fernanda, Daniela, Cristina, Cristian, Connie, Constanza, Claudia, esa es Claudita, Carol, Camilo, lo dice Camila Guzmán, Camila Milton, Antonia, Agustín, and myself. Good morning everyone. Does anyone remember what we covered last class? What we talked about? Anything that comes to your mind?
What is phonetics?
Okay, all right. That's sort of a definition for phonetics. So, what's phonetics
Is the
according to
sound
what you remember?
used to talk?
Okay, the sounds produced
The
to
sound,
talk.
the sound we used to talk. The consonant, but what's the meaning of vocal? Vocal.
Vowels like A, B,
Yeah.
A, I, O.
Yes. The pronunciation of this. The tongue.
Exactly. We talked about the way that sounds were produced. Did I give you video links for you to take a look? Some videos that some of them were really cool, some of them were really gross, some of them were really disgusting. Yeah, did I give you those video links? Do you have time
You
to watch them?
didn't tell us, but we found them in the LMS.
Okay, great. It's cool that we do so many things unconsciously. Our body does many things that we don't realize, and we don't have to consciously command. For example, when you talk, you're not conscious about the instructions that your brain gives to your tongue or to any of the muscles in your mouth. That just happens whenever you want to, you think about something, just say it. but you're not aware that, you know, okay, the tongue needs to move up and needs to touch the alveolar ridge, etc., 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 right? That's sort of an interesting phenomenon that takes place. It just takes place naturally, right? Since language evolved, since we're not talking like, we're not using those sounds anymore. We're not using just, you know, sign language to communicate, but we are articulating words, right? It's interesting how this process happens without us being fully in charge consciously about the structure. So that's pretty cool, pretty interesting. Um, Phonetics is a study, it's a scientific study, right? And it study all speech sounds, or we can say all sounds produced by human beings, right? Some of them are very, very familiar for us. For example, A, E, I, O, U. Those are vowel sounds, right? We can say B, C, D, or B, T, P as sounds that we can have in Spanish. Now, in English, there are some sounds that are very similar and others that do not exist in Spanish. I think we mentioned that before. So, but phonetics does not deal only with sounds that we use in Spanish or sounds that we use in English. Phonetics deals with all the speech sounds produced by human beings. There are some African tribes, or one or two, that use a system of clicks. So when they speak, they use something like, and they have several types of clicks. The name for that is clicks. So that's another way in which sounds produced by a human being are used to communicate, right? Because they essentially communicate with that. I think we referred to this before. Please always correct me if I'm wrong. I'm very glad, I'm very happy if you say,
Teacher,
yes, ma'am.
you're not recording the class.
Am I not? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was. But I see the red
Sorry,
dot.
I
No, that's right. That's right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Keep it up, please. Keep it up. Thank you. I said, wow, again, I forgot to record the class. Thank you for that. Thank you. So we see these strange symbols. There are phonetic symbols, right? Phonetic symbols are representations of sounds. So, for example, how can we tell that these are phonetic symbols? Because some of them are very strange. For example, this one is very strange. So I don't have any problem saying, that's a phonetic symbol, no doubt. Or this one that looks like a letter N with sort of a tail, right? That's a phonetic symbol as well. But what if you see this one? Looks like a letter M to me. This one looks like a letter B to me, right? Now, phonetic symbols are always enclosed by these slashes. It could be brackets or slashes. There's a difference though. But so far we know that between brackets, we're using phonetic symbols. Sorry, slashes. And between brackets, we're also using phonetic symbols. Okay, so that these two ways can help us to understand that we're using phonetic symbols. Okay, what we're going to be using is now, right, is the slashes. Okay, so one slash at the beginning, one slash at the end, and anything that's within, inside, right, within the two slashes, we're going to understand that we're referring to phonetic symbols. Okay, so as we know language, we mentioned that we can segment or break up the language. A speaker of English can interpret the lack of breaks. It would be very easy if someone speaks like that, right? So because it's easy for us to understand that that's the final sound of English, that's the final sound of can, that's the final sound of interpret, so on and so forth, right? But people, many people may speak quite fast. A speaker of English can interpret the lack of breaks between spoken words. So if you're not very familiar with the language, it's hard for you to tell when one word begins or with which sounds and what's the final sound. Right? So that's quite important when we learn a language, to understand how we can divide a long utterance, okay, a long segment, and to understand that we're talking about two or more words, right? The word utterance is a very important word that we're going to be using. Utterance, at the bottom here, utterance is anything that you say. We're going to call it an utterance. For example, if you say yes, that's an utterance. I like lemon pie. That's another utterance. Would you like to go to the party? That's another utterance. All right. So anything you say, we're going to call it utterance. So in a long utterance, it's not easy sometimes to segment all the words that are part of these utterances, right? So that's the knowledge that you may have about a language. And the more you make progress, the more knowledge that you acquire about the language, the more vocabulary that you acquire, it's going to help you to understand how you can segment, right, the words in an utterance. I think we discussed phonemes. Phonemes.
Teacher,
Yes, ma'am.
I not understand what is utterance.
Okay, I don't know if there's a word in Spanish. I think there is a word, but utterance. For example, if you say yes, I do, that is an utterance. If you say, for example, if I ask you, would you like to have a cup of coffee? A question, right? It's an utterance. The answer to that question, if you say yes, I would, that's an utterance. If you say no, that's an utterance. Anything you say, it could be one word, 3 words, 5 words, 7 words. We are going to call it an utterance in phonetics. Okay. Anything that you may say that might be carrying a message that it's meaningful, and you say it. For example, through. Through is a word, but it's also an utterance because I just say it. I just said it. Okay. If I say speak, or speak louder, please, or speak louder, please, because we cannot hear you, that's an utterance. Speak is a short utterance. Speak louder, please, is a longer utterance. And speak louder, please, because we cannot hear you, that's even longer utterance. So utterance is anything you say. So, for example, even in instruction, I can tell you, analyze this utterance, right? And then I'm going to give you a sentence. So the sentence is going to be the utterance, basically. Okay. Anything you say is an utterance, basically. Okay. I hope it's clear. If it's not clear, please keep pushing. All right. Keep asking me.
Teacher?
Okay. For example, teacher, that's an utterance. Okay, yes, ma'am?
Yes. Can be a single letter an utterance?
Yes. If you say
Okay.
it, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. I mean, because, for example, at some point, if you say why, why, if you tell someone, you have to go and pick up the garbage, pick up the trash, and the other person says, but why? That's an utterance. That's one word, right? And if you say the letter Y, it's also an utterance. Which option would you like to choose? A, B, or C? C. I'm saying a letter, but it's an utterance
So
as well.
it's in general everything that we say.
Exactly. Anything that you say is an
Okay.
utterance.
Okay.
Alrighty,
Right.
good. Yeah. If it lifts your mouth, if someone listens to it, if you say it, basically, it's an utterance. Okay. Um, Now, in this question, how many speech sounds are there in bot? Bot. We understand that bot is spelled B-O-U-G-H-T. That's how this word is spelled, right? But in phonetics, we're not concerned about the spelling of the words, but about the pronunciation of words, about the sounds, right? So by closing your eyes, you may focus more on the pronunciation. So bot, bot, I have b, b, o, and t, bot. So I have three sounds, right? Three speech sounds in the word bot. B, o, t. I know many letters, right? Many letters, 6 letters, but only three phonemes, three sounds, all right? So we're going to say sounds, we're going to say speech sounds, or the more technical word, phonemes, okay? To refer to, for example, these three symbols represent three sounds. So we're going to say, oh, there are three phonemes here, three phonemes, okay? In the word through, we have three phonemes, right? In the word because, we have five phonemes. Yes? We agree on that, right?
I was going to say 5, but yeah.
Yes, I heard you. Now, go on with the next one, please. Speak. How many phonemes?
4.
Perfect. 4. How many consonant sounds?
3.
3 consonant sounds, right? And the other one would be
Vowel.
a vowel
Or-
sound.
or-
Exactly. In this British English, early. How many phonemes? Early.
3.
3, right? Early. British English, because in sort of a more rhotic variety, American English, they would say early. So after there's sort of an right? Sort of this letter, right? But the sound early. So if we hear early, we're listening to 3 phonemes, early. If we hear early, we need to say that there are 4. Okay, that's the. Let me copy this. Early, that would be sort of the more American English version, right? Early. There. Let me get rid of that. General American. American people tend to use R, right? To produce the R. That's why that type of English is called rhotic English. Rhotic English tend to produce the sound early, right? It's like when you hear someone from United States saying Peter, at the end, right? Peter. And someone from Britain usually would say Peter, 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 no at the end, right? So if you hear someone saying Peter, that probably from Britain, right? A British English variety, that's called non-rhotic English. And someone who produces like someone from United States, speaking with a general American English, would say Peter or early, right? The person will produce the sound. When someone produces this in middle position or final position, early, middle position, Peter, final position, we call that English is rhotic. Rhotic when you hear the sound. Non-rhotic when you do not hear the sound Okay? I don't know if it's getting more, I don't know, simple for you or more complicated. Please let me know if I can help you with anything.
It's so easy for me.
All right, good, very good. I'm very glad.
In the Hunger Games, it's Peter Mellark.
Oh,
Not
I
Peter.
like that. No,
Peter.
Peter. All right. Yeah, you're right. Hunger Games. Good movie. Couple of movies actually. Right. Good. There are three, I think. I'm not a specialist, but I think there are three Hunger Game movies. Maybe. So continue with this. In the last word in this exercise, we have here, right here. And in general, we can say that this utterance has three phonemes, right? Will be the first one, E will be the second one, will be the third one, right? Here. Now, we will learn later that in English, we're going to talk about monophthongs or individual sounds, individual vowel sounds. For example, A, that's one vowel sound, right? A. U, that's one vowel sound. And we're going to learn that there are diphthongs or a combination of two sounds, right? Let me show you, let me go to that slide. This one. So in this slide, we're going to see that we have monophthongs. Monophthongs are individual vowel sounds. For example, E as in read is a monophthong. E as in sit is a monophthong. It's just one vowel sound, right? Book, oo, book. Oo in two. E as in men, as in America. Very interesting symbol to represent a sound that looks like exactly when you just wake up in the morning and you're yawning and you say, that's the sound, America, America. Right? That's also a monophthong. As in word, also a monophthong. Or as in sword, another monophthong. As in cat, another monophthong. As in but, another monophthong. As in part, another monophthong. And as in not, that's another monophthong. So how many monophthongs do we have? We have all these 12 monophthongs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All these 12 vowel sounds are monophthongs, all right? Are individual vowel sounds. Individual, just one vowel sound. Now, the ones that you can see here, they are diphthongs. Diphthongs, a combination of two vowel sounds, right? Two vowel sounds. So how many diphthongs are there in English? Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 diphthongs. Okay. The diphthong ear, as in here. The diphthong a, as in day. The diphthong ua, as in tour. The diphthong oi, as in boy. The diphthong o, as in go. The diphthong as in where. Diphthong I, as in my. And the diphthong ow, as in how. Okay, all of these 8 combination of sounds are a diphthong. So when you produce a diphthong, you start in one vowel and you glide, your tongue glides into the other one. You go like E, right? A, oi, O. Okay, that's a way to go with these diphthongs, all right? So,
Mister,
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
the the ear, the here,
Mhm.
in American English, they pronounce the R. They say here. Like,
Yes, yes. Actually, that's a very good question, because when we hear a British guy saying here, 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 um, that speaker, that person is producing a diphthong in terms of a vowel, right? Is producing a diphthong here, here, and it's not producing the final right? Here. Now, when we hear an American speaker, usually that person would say here, here, here. That speaker will not be producing a diphthong, will be producing one of these, probably this one, here, he, and then a final here, here. Okay, so it's that American speaker will not be producing the diphthong, but a monophthong. So it's going to be not only that the British speaker will be using the diphthong and not the R, and the American speaker will be producing a monophthong and a final R. So we will see some of the differences between, someone speaking with a rhotic accent and someone speaking with a non-rhotic accent. I would like to refer to that as in this way: non-rhotic English and a rhotic English. Because when we say like that, we can refer to people from many different countries in which they speak English, not necessarily from Britain, that they use like car, right? Rhotic. Now, non-rhotic variety is not just people from Britain. People from many other places in the world that speak English may also say car or father or Peter, a non-rhotic variety. So not just Britain, but any variety that is non-rhotic will not produce, the speaker will not produce the final But going back to, so that's a very good question, because that's what we're going to be discussing later. What are the differences between non-rhotic English and rhotic English? Now, going back to the exercise, remember we were analyzing here, and I said, how many phonemes are there in here? Like this one, here, right? If the person says here, one phoneme is, that's, the letter H, so to speak, right? And ear is the second speech sound or phoneme. What I mean is, this diphthong, we are going to count the diphthong as one. Okay, the diphthong, we're going to count it as one. So if we say, for example, here, right here, can you see the marker? Can you see the pointer? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so how do you say this word?
Go.
Go.
Go, exactly. Go, perfect. How many speech sounds, how many phonemes are there in go?
Two.
Two, exactly. G and O.
Mhm.
Exactly. We're going to count this as one. Okay, perfect. And in my, how many
There's also
phonemes?
two.
There's also two, exactly. Is the first one, and I is the second one. We know that there's a combination of sounds here, but the way we're going to count diphthongs is as one phoneme. A diphthong is one phoneme. Some authors think that we need to divide this. Other authors think that we need to count a diphthong as one unit. So in order to, not to create confusion and to agree on one specific selection or choice, we are going to consider a diphthong as one single unit. Okay?
Teacher,
Yes, ma'am.
uh, how will the word say sheep and sheep?
que una es con doble E y la otra con una I, ¿cómo se dirían?
All right, very good question. I think I think you're referring to. Let me type this somewhere because ship
Ujú.
and sheep.
Sí, esa.
All right, perfect. The first one sounds like E, right? E. Sorry, that's for the second one. Okay, sheep, sheep, and the second one, yeah, and the first one, ship.
Ya.
Okay, let me see if I'm. Okay, yes. So ship and sheep, ship, sheep, ship, sheep. What are the differences between these two sounds? The first one is
Como,
shorter. Just go ahead, please. Go ahead.
como que es que lo siento como que suena ship, así como ship. O sea, así como lo siento yo así escuchándolo del audífono.
Yes, yes. E, 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 e,
Ya.
e. Ship, 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 ship. Imagine that I have this letter right here. So I would say ship, but with this one, ship, 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 ship,
Teacher,
ship. Yes, ma'am?
and what is chip in cookie? Chip
Uh,
of chocolate or like
okay,
the
got you. Got you with that.
pronunciation.
Yes, we're talking about chips, right? Chips. In terms of pronunciation, it should be with this shorter e, chips, chips, ship, chip. Let me get rid of the final s here. So first of all, I don't want to confuse you. Okay, first of all, let's focus on. I think I didn't delete the chip from the very beginning. Okay, now here we go. First of all, let's focus on the vowel sound. Ship, sheep, ship, sheep. The difference between these two vowel sounds is that this one is shorter, this one is shorter, I, and this one is longer, E, I, E, okay? When you produce this one, your lips are more relaxed, I, ship, ship. When you produce this one, this sound, your lips are more tense, E, as if you are smiling. So if you smile and you say E, E, that's the vowel sound that you have to use when you produce sheep. But when you say cheese, cheese, that's why, you know, when people are taking a photograph, they say cheese, because when you say cheese, you look like as if you were smiling. Sheep, cheese, all right. So there are more differences between these two sounds that we will see later, right? But that's basically the difference between these two vowel sounds. And the second question is ship and chip. Ship and chip. The difference, I mean, they have the same vowel sound. The same vowel sound. I, I. Ship, chip. The difference here is at the beginning. The initial sound, the consonant sound is different, right? This one is sh, and this one is ch, ch, sh, ch, ch, right? Shh, as when you are asking someone to be silent, right? Shh, be quiet. Shh. ship, ship, ship. And this one is as when you say, for example, Chile, chala, chaleco, chip, okay? It's like saying, try to say Chile, Chile, shala, chala, shomba, chomba. All right, that's basically the difference here. And I mean, so far so good. Is it? Am I answering the question?
And Mister, what about when there is a chip like non-expensive? The CHEAP.
Okay. Let me type that. I think that's what we are referring to. Inexpensive chip? No?
I don't wait. I can see it. My connection is bad.
That's right. I think, yeah, I think this is the question. Cheap, cheap. So let me let me type the word chip so we can see the difference. Okay, I got it right here. And I really want to share with you this. There it is. Okay. So the question is, what about chip and cheap? Chip, cheap. Chip, cheap. Chip, cheap. They are very similar. If you see, the initial sound is ch in both of them. The two words have the same initial sound. Ch. The two words have the same final sound. P, p, the same final consonant sound, right? P, p. And the only difference is the vowel sound. In the first case, I is shorter, I, more relaxed. In the second word, E, E, E is longer and more tense. So we get chip, cheap, chip, cheap. The second one, you say it as if you were smiling, cheap, cheap, cheap. And the first one, chip, chip, cheap, chip, cheap. Okay? So I don't want to confuse you with this, but I think you were giving very good examples of what we are going to be calling minimal pairs. Keep this in mind, please. Minimal pairs, because we're going to have exercises. We're going to practice with minimal pairs. So what is a minimal pairs? Two words that have exactly the same sounds, but only one sound is different. One phoneme is different. For example, ship and sheep are minimal pairs because they have the same initial sound, sh, the same final sound. P. The only difference is the vowel sound, I, E. The same thing with ship and cheap. They have the same vowel sound, the same final sound. The only difference is the initial sound, sh and ch. So these two are minimal pairs, okay? And the same thing with chip and cheap. They have the same initial and final sound. Initial and final sound, they are exactly the same. The other difference is the vowel sound, okay? So how do we call these two words in which only one sound is different? Minimal pairs, all right? Remember that name because we're going to see this concept and practice this concept very often, very frequent, all right? In general, we're going to be using these symbols to represent the sounds, right? This is Alvin, right? and this is Darth Vader, as far as I know, right? And what are they here? Because if we are familiar with the language, if we understand the language, if we can communicate with the language, it doesn't matter if the level of pitch is high or low. For example, Alvin, have you heard, have you watched the movie? Have you heard how they speak?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, no, I can really mimic that. It's very too high for me. It's very high pitch, right? And can you mimic or imitate Darth Vader's speech or the way he speaks?
I am your father.
Excellent! Woohoo! Great! Good job. So, I mean, if we know a language, doesn't matter if it's a high speech voice, if it's a low pitch voice, right? If it's very fast or very slow, or even if the person speaks with an accent, right? Inspector Clouseau by the Pink Panther, La Pantera Rosa. If you remember, there is an inspector there that speaks with a very French accent, right? Yeah, at least in the movie, not in the I think the cartoon they don't speak. But in the movie, there's a thick, very thick French accent. But if you know the language, you can still understand. If you hear someone, a gringo, speaking in Spanish, you usually understand because you know Spanish, right? So we are able to segment the language. And that's something that we need to try, not only from trying to learn in this class, but in during the whole process that you are studying in this English teaching program. That a person may speak with a specific accent, for example, or a person may speak very fast or very slow, or with a very high pitch, like this, right? Very high pitch, or a very low pitch. And because you will learn a lot of English during these years, and the past years, of course, you are going to be able to understand because you're going to segment the language. It's not going to become like one big mess, but you will be able to understand the message. I think it's time for us to have a break. I think please, I need some feedback here. Did we cover this slide last last session? Yes, no?
I think no.
Okay. So I would like to leave it like here in order for us to start the second part of the session, if that's okay with you. We can have a break now. And after the break, we can start with this slide that refers to how messy English is, how difficult and like, wow, I can understand how they spell words like that. All right. So this is the slide that we're going to start with after the break. I hope you enjoy your break. I'm going to get a cup of coffee because this coffee is really cold. So yeah, I need to heat it up. So enjoy your break. I'll see you in 10, 12 minutes. All right?
Okay.
10 to 12 minutes. Alrighty.
Thanks.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Enjoy the break. Okay.
Thanks.